my god. What's good, my gods and goddesses? Y'all already know who it is, man. So SHANNO, we burning bright today. Burning bright this afternoon. Oh boy, man. I probably did not want to tell this story. I didn't want to tell this story because I didn't really want to put anybody's business out there. And even then, as a quick disclaimer, like, I'm not making this to offend anybody, to talk down on anybody, to insult anyone, any of the individuals mentioned in the story. But I don't know, I've always wanted to make a story time, and unfortunately, this is the story I have to tell. As I said, I'm not insulting anybody. I won't be mentioning any of the names in this video, so yeah. This is the story of this is the story of how my ex cheated on me. I don't know why that's so funny. This is the story of how my ex cheated on me with my homeboy, with essentially my bro. Where do I begin? This story kind of spans from 2021 to last year, which is 2024. Yeah, I got to give y'all some context before I get into the story. So, to give y'all some context, I had some buddies who I met back in middle school, because I feel like everybody who I knew in middle school, we still are relatively like close, or we still are in some type of contact. Those are the only people who I could really call like friends and pals and whatnot. Going into high school, as I said, I didn't really have any friends. Like, I still talk to people, but I didn't have anybody who I would go outside and hang out with, which the people who I did hang out with, they went to my middle school. It's more like a comfortability thing, I guess you could say. Like familiarity, those are the people who I like grew up with in a sense. The individuals in question. All right, so the first dude who I met, who I at least became friends with, like better friends with in high school, we're gonna call him Monkey, right? So me and Monkey, we just started hanging out randomly throughout like the sophomore year of high school. We would just randomly go outside, kick it, go to the park. We would go over his crib and play the game and stuff. Yeah, we would watch movies. We would talk about like basically our interests and stuff, because he wanted to make like movies and skits, and me, I kind of would just go with the flow. And then he started introducing me to more of his friends. So it was me, Monkey. We had a bro named Kool-Aid, and then the individual in question, we're gonna call him Bob. We're gonna call him Bob. Yeah. So throughout high school, that was just my little clique. That was just my clique. Like, even after school, we would go hang out, play the game, go to the park, talk about girls and stuff. You know how dudes be. We had a really good time. Like, as I said, I never really hung out with many of my friends or many of the people who I considered to be friends, because I was always just at home. But that was the first time I've ever really had like a friend group for real, like a consistent friend group. So it was a really cool experience for the first time. Like, we all got along pretty well. We obviously had plenty of laughs. It was cool. We even made skits, videos, and stuff. It was a really cool time. Like, I kind of miss it. But yeah, we were all friends up until the moment in question. So that brings me to the ex. We're gonna call her Raven. So how we met, I actually knew her like a year before we started dating. I met her through my father. He had a friend, Miss So and So had a daughter. I knew her as a kid, that whole little thing. And then because 2021, that was my senior year of high school, so prom season, even though we were doing virtual school, we were having prom through Roblox. Prom was coming up, prom season, so I would even say I was looking for a prom date. I really didn't care. Like, as far as relationships and just like talking to girls went, that whole year, or at least prior to me having like my little spiritual awakening and whatnot, I was really just focused on myself. Like, I didn't really want to be bothered with another woman, especially with the experience, or at least the talking stage I had prior to that. Yeah, Miss So and So had a daughter. I ended up meeting her daughter. I actually got her daughter's I actually got this girl's number through a friend that I had who I went to school with. But yeah, and then we just started talking. It's pretty cool. We got along pretty well. Um, we hung out a couple of times. Obviously, I didn't have a car, so it was mainly her driving me around, which shit happens. Passenger princess. Like it was cool, but I was always saying before I wasn't really looking for a relationship. It's just not something that it was like on my mind at the moment because I had so many other things going on that I wanted to do. But after prom, it was going to be it for me. So we started getting closer, and that led into a relationship. Surprisingly enough, and as I said, I'm not gonna like talk down, talk bad just because these people are not in my life anymore. But for my first like real relationship, it wasn't that bad. Like we had a lot of good moments. Like it was fun. It was fun for the time being, but all things must come to an end. People come and go. As much as it seemed like it was going to be a committed relationship, we was just two horny kids. That's all it was. I'm 18. We're 18. We don't really have that much experience in life. So, first like crush or whatever and expecting to get married and stuff is a very like once in a lifetime type of thing. Like that doesn't happen very often. So I doubt it would happen for me. But yeah, it was cool. Like I'm not even gonna fake it. Like for a first experience in a relationship, yeah, it was cool. There was obviously some mistakes that I feel like I made. I was a young man at the time, still am a young man. But you live and you learn. That's life. That's life. So when do these two stories intersect? That might be the question you're asking. When do these two stories intersect? So maybe around this was like maybe April of 2021. This is when like, okay, we're actually kind of talking. Me and this girl are like talking. So me, Monkey, Bob, and then we had another friend. We're gonna call him Griffin. Ooh. It was me, Monkey, Bob, and Griffin. We were all gonna hang out, probably go to B-Dubs or something, get something to eat, go bowling, and just chill. Little guys hangout or whatever. But unbeknownst to, or at least Bob told us, he brings up that he invited Raven to this little outing. I was a little confused by that. Not because like he's talking to her, he has her number, or talking, or they're friends or whatnot. Because I suppose they were friends before we even met, which cool. But it was you bringing a girl to like a guy's hangout. Anyway, we chill, we eat, I think we smoked too before we went bowling. Yeah. So we all pull up to the bowling place, and she pulls up with us. Now, this is where I can probably say this is where I feel like this is where things went wrong. Things went left. Because in his head, he's probably trying to get on that with her. But we had already been talking for a month prior, which is why I feel like things unfolded the way they did. Because what I did, I essentially slid in. Like I was making it known that we talked like we were like touching, not like sexually touching each other, but like smacking butts and stuff. This like I didn't tell him nothing. I don't know if she told him nothing either. So he's probably looking at that like, oh, this dude's just sliding in on my shit, which that wasn't the case. But I kind of feel like this is the reason why everything unfolded the way it did. Anyway, that night ended after we got done bowling. We all went our separate ways. It was cool. And she called me that night. I remember this. She called me that night and told me that Bob had ended up confessing like his feelings for her. And I didn't react I didn't wasn't I don't even know how to explain it. Like I didn't really process it at first because I didn't see it as nothing wrong. It's just like he didn't know. And I didn't tell him afterwards because it's like I felt like it was unspoken. Like I don't think anybody said anything to him for real. So we're gonna put a pin in that. Fast forward a couple months later, she's my girlfriend. Like she's officially my girlfriend. I tell the guys like, hey, I'm dating Raven. I'm dating so and so. So yeah, we're about to fast forward to like August, because this is when we're all going away to school. We're all going our separate ways. So this is where we get into the long distance relationship, which we all know how that goes. It's inevitable. You know when your girl's gonna cheat on you. Like that's not something you'd have to question. I feel like if you haven't seen how she responds to certain situations when it revolves other men, other dudes, you can get a good scope as to whether she's gonna cheat on you or not. Vice versa, men with or women with men. So I've never really seen her in that situation. So of course I'm gonna be curious as to what's gonna happen when we're going our separate ways. I remember her telling me if I ever cheated on her, she was gonna rip my arms off or fucking like make sure I suffer or nothing. Like something along those lines. And I remember telling her if she cheated on me, I'm not gonna do anything. That's your choice to leave. If you don't want to be with me, if you want to go find something else, there's nothing I can do about that. We gonna keep going. So like during while we were both at school, while we are away, we never really like there were plans to come and see each other, but since we were both so busy with school, it was kind of difficult to do so. So I ended up bringing up that thought, like I don't want you cheating on me because I'm not able to make it. And like the funny thing about that is like I got this like weird feeling. I got this really weird feeling that something like that would happen. I've only been cheated on once, but it's like a time where I didn't care, so it didn't really like bother me that much. Being cheated on never really bothered me. That's not something I like constantly thought about, but I just got this feeling, a feeling that I could still remember to this day because this feeling would come back later in this story. I remember bringing it up to her and she literally like flipped out, basically saying like, "Oh, you're assuming something about my character, like judging my character or whatnot." It's just like, why do women get mad about that? That's just something I never understood. But anyway, so we ended up not talking for like 2 weeks because of it. I just, I don't know. 2 weeks later, like everything was cool, but I noticed the relationship steadily decline. And I couldn't really tell if it was my fault or not. As I said, I don't feel wrong for communicating that. But yeah, the relationship slowly started to decline. I remember her going home and not hearing from her at all, which I might get back to that in a second. We all come home for like what? Thanksgiving break, didn't see her at all. We barely spoke. And basically, what she ended up telling me was she doesn't have time for a relationship. Okay. I didn't know how to feel about that because all of a sudden things just suddenly changed after we had that conversation. Like I never really understood. So after that, we have one last conversation. I basically tell her like how I feel about it, how I feel about like not wanting to be in a relationship. If you wanted to make it work, you could. We don't need to talk to each other every day. We don't need to see each other. I just want to make sure that you are there for me and I'm here for you and we're still able to communicate at least in the smallest way. Like it was at the point where I literally take the bare minimum. But either way, she wasn't going. So literally the next 6 months, like the whole second semester, we didn't even speak. I probably told her happy birthday out that entire time. And that's when about May 2022, that's when I officially like, okay, I'm breaking this off. I'm putting an end to this finally. And even then, she still barely said anything. Yeah, that draws the end of our relationship. As I said, it's fun for the time being. Two kids, two young and dumb kids. We were just having fun. But yeah, that was that. As I said before, I never really got any context as to what happened. The moments where she wasn't there, the moments where we weren't talking, I heard nothing. Like there was literally no context given. There's no reason as to why we just stopped talking. There's no reason as to why you couldn't do a relationship outside of us being too busy, which I feel like isn't not a good enough excuse. But that was pretty much it. I forgot to mention. So Bob stopped. Bob had moved away before we entered our senior year of virtual school. So he would like see us every now and again. I think the first time we seen him since was May of 2022. Isn't that strange? But after that, we didn't see him again until March of 2023. That was no March of 2024. And then he came back for the final time May of 2024. Yeah, he came back. We would kick it, obviously, since it's been a long time since we've seen him. And yeah, this is where everything happens. This is where I find out the ugly truth. So he comes back after being gone for what, 2 months? We kick it again. He's here for the whole week, but I have work, so I'll probably only see him like once or twice out the week. So we agree to go out to brunch that morning. We're gonna have brunch. I had church afterwards, and then we were gonna have a bonfire. So we get to brunch. It's cool. You know, we're sipping on mimosas. We're 21 now, so we all can drink in the same setting. Yeah. And then after that, we go our separate ways and then set up for when the bonfire happens. So in between that time, he tells me, or he tells us, because we're all monkeys getting a haircut or whatever. We had another friend, his name, we're gonna call him Juan. We've been hanging out with him since middle school too, so he's kinda in the group, kinda. We all just go our separate ways, but then he tells us he's gonna kick it with a shorty for the rest of the time, or like in between that. He never tells us who it was, which in my mind, I'm not even thinking too hard into it. But here's where things just shift. So as I said, around that time I was like smoking consistently. I wouldn't even call myself a stoner, but I was definitely like a bit of a smoker. But I'm just chilling outside and I'm just smoking. I still sun gaze too. So I was just sun gazing at the moment. And I'm just thinking, like, because I have so much time to kill, I'm just thinking like, what shorty could this dude be with? Because I don't know too many girls that he could be with, except Raven. And I get the same feeling I got when I thought she was like, when I had that insecurity or that like feeling that she was gonna cheat on me. I got the exact same feeling. Like, you remember from Spider-Man No Way Home where Peter's spidey senses started tingling because something was wrong and then he caught the Green Goblin? That's how I felt in that moment. Like, this entire sequence felt like a movie scene. So I get that feeling. I'm checking his location and I'm seeing him in, I wouldn't even say it's places that me and her used to go to, but it's the places where everybody is, like everybody in the, like the area, the neighborhoods would go. He's staying with Monkey, and I see them on their way to his house. So I'm basically racing, I'm racing him to get to Monkey's house before he does. Keep in mind, he doesn't have a car either. So I'll hop in a car. I'll start playing like some cinematic music. Keep in mind, I'm still like high as shit. So I'm risking getting like a DWI or DUI or whatever just to find out the ugly truth. I'm racing through traffic. I'm rushing to try and get to his house, trying to get to Monkey's house before he does. I get to his house. I'm still checking his location. I tell Monkey I'm outside. Monkey comes outside and we go inside. We go to his room. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just sitting there like, something ain't right. Monkey turns over, he's like, Shane was wrong. I'm like, something's not right. Something's just not right. I just got this feeling like my spidey senses is tingling. Like, I tell him that word for word, like my spidey senses is tingling. Like, what's up? I ask him, do you know who Bob is with? He's like, nah. I asked him, do you think it could be my ex? This dude tells me, probably. I kind of thought that he knew. Like, it kind of felt like he knew already. So he pulls up to the house, but he sits a block from, like, this man is parked like a whole block away and he's just sitting there. He was sitting there for like the next 10 minutes. And this makes my anxiety even worse because, like, what are you doing? I just sometimes need to just walk back upstairs. I'm slowly seeing his, like, I'm looking at his location still. I see him slowly approach the house. I look outside the window and it's my ex's car.
Ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Bro, like, I literally dropped to the ground in disbelief. Like, y'all remember when Miles found out Uncle Aaron was a prowler? Like, that was literally me at that moment. So I'm basically running downstairs. I basically caused a commotion. His parents started tripping, wondering like, why am I tweaking? They thought somebody was like was doing a drive-by by the house or some shit. I tell Monkey, I tell him like he did it. And I seen Bob walk in. I'm literally staring at this man like the room was just so like I couldn't even describe. That was crazy. Like that was a really crazy moment. Not even the fact that he was doing what he was doing, but how I found out, which is why I'm telling the story in the first place. I take Bob outside. I ask him, "Were you with Raven?" He said, "Yeah." You know that was my ex, right? He's like, he didn't know that that was my ex, so he said no. And I asked him, "Were you trying to get on that? Was you trying to hop down on that?" He told me yes. And obviously, I was upset about that because two things didn't add up, or at least one thing just didn't add up. Didn't know we were dating. I get that y'all are friends. That's cool. But for one, you trying to hop down on a girl that I was previously dating? And two, you knew. You knew. I told them. And even if I didn't, we had prom pictures. The dude literally called me while we were at her house. I was at her house. We were both kicking it. And he called me. And he seen her. We all talked to him. We both talked to him. So there's either way you slice it, there's no way that he couldn't have known. So I'm still processing this in my mind. Like I'm sitting there, and as he's explaining it to Monkey, this nigga starts laughing. I feel like if all of this happened to them too, they wouldn't be laughing either. This is very serious, not even amongst like, it's not even about women, but it's about us at this point. So I say, screw it. We head back to my house, so we have the bonfire anyway, because I'm still processing it. Like, it's not really like sitting in my head for like, I was obviously upset, but I wasn't truly like, it wasn't processing in my mind. So that's when Kool-Aid pops back up. That's when we all start linking. Kool-Aid's popping up, and then Juan is gonna pop up with like s'mores because it was a bonfire. I didn't buy any like s'mores or stuff. We start relaying the information to Kool-Aid, but Bob gives out one specific detail that was missed out. Bob cracked Raven.
Oh my God, my Shayla.
He didn't tell me when I originally found out, but I'm sitting there like,
What the is you doing in the video?
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, that's me.
God knows you.
I just remember, like, keep in mind, I'm still high, so all I feel is just red, like just anger. Like I couldn't even believe it. Monkey bust out laughing. So I'm looking at this nigga like, are you fucking serious? So Monkey's laughing. Kool-Aid is still like processing it. He's still in disbelief, but he says nothing. My problem with that is this is a very serious moment among us, and we're taking it as a joke. Not only are we taking it as a joke, for y'all to be reacting this way just shows me where y'all morals and loyalty is. Because I've been behind these dudes like every step of the way, at least for the most part, the best of my ability. And then the most serious moment where I'm literally being like backstabbed, like this nigga backdoored me. This like I'm being backstabbed. Y'all are laughing, y'all are not saying nothing. So he goes in a little bit of detail, like even to this day, I still don't know. Like I still don't know what happened specifically. I don't even know when it happened. But either way, no matter what way you slice it, this is wrong. That's not cool. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I can't fucking believe you. Like word for word, like I can't fucking believe you. So it's kind of just awkward. To break the silence, that's when Juan showed up with the s'mores. So everything kind of reset. I'm still like filled with rage, like disappointed. I think after Juan came, that's when things kind of shifted. You know, I started cracking jokes. Everybody started cracking jokes. Things kind of reset. But maybe like 30 minutes to an hour later, when everybody started leaving, I had to drop Monkey and Bob off at home, and I'm just like, that was probably one of the most like saddest car rides home. Awkward wasn't even the word to describe it. It was quiet. There was music, but I was playing fucking Frank Ocean, like Wise Man. Yeah, that was crazy. So we all got home. I dropped him off. We said our goodbyes, I guess you could say, and then after that, I blocked him. I left the group chat, and I haven't heard from him since. Everybody else, we still still getting back cool or whatever. But as I said, the craziest thing about that entire story is how I found out. This is the wisdom that I want to share because I'll never tell these stories without any like real wisdom or lessons to share, to give. One, trust your intuition. Like if you really tap in with yourself, if you really like connect to whatever higher power, whatever creator that you believe in, certain things are going to tell you when something's wrong. But you really got to trust your intuition in order to follow it, in order to start allowing it to guide you. Allow, like, I don't even want to use like God or religion or anything, but like let God guide you and he'll show you exactly what you need and want to see. And that was just one of them. Two, not every friend, not every person you call your friend, your brother, your sister is actually a brother, friend, or sister. It always takes the serious situations, the serious moments in order to expose people. Even in relationships, serious conversations really tell you where a person's head at. Morals, like integrity, loyalty, that really like shows where it's all at. This was one of those moments, and then you really find out who your true friends are. It's crazy, but you know what? I'm low key thankful for that. And although that has left me with like trust issues, not even just in regards to relationships, but like friendships in general, like after that, I only could really say I probably had like my family, and that's it. Obviously, when it initially happened, I was like hurt by that. Not even the fact that my ex did what she did, but the dude who I called my brother. I think that's what got me the most. And my family always told me like you don't really have friends, like not everybody's your friend for real. And then I finally seen that firsthand. That was a real like reality hidden moment. That's a moment I'll never forget. But a whole year later, in order to like completely like clear my conscience, I feel like that's something I just needed to get off my chest. That felt straight out of a movie. Like to even find that out. It's crazy. Lesson here, trust your intuition, and not everybody's your friend. As unfortunate as it is to say. That's the story of how I got backdoored. I'm still healing. I'm still learning to it don't really affect me as much as it did back then, but I'm still like trying to find trust in other people again. That it takes time. That happens. But I'm trying not to let it affect the relationships I have going forward. Sometimes you just gotta see people for who they are. People show you who they are, believe them. I had many red flags that I missed that probably like that now that I'm looking back at it, it kind of makes sense as to how it happened. But you live and you learn. It's just another experience you have that you just get wisdom from. So yeah, story time. I want to start doing more story times or just more videos in general. That's more like personal to me. So y'all get to know me as a creator better, as a person. But yeah, if y'all want more story times, let me know. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And this is SHANNO signing off. Peace.